August 13th, 2026. That is the day the White House dropped a presidential memorandum that absolutely sent shockwaves through the defense industry. It's officially titled Rebuilding the United States Navy and America's Shipbuilding Industrial Base. But, to really grasp what this document actually means, we've got to look way past that bureaucratic title. In this explainer, we're going to critically analyze exactly what this totally unprecedented order demands, and, more importantly, the chilling reality that's driving it. Right out of the gate, this memorandum presents an incredible paradox. It literally directs the Department of War to do two things that seem, completely contradictory. First, it reaches backward in time, ordering a return to 1950s technology. And second, it reaches outward across the ocean, actually opening up American warship construction to foreign builders. They sound like two totally different arguments, right? But they aren't. They're actually two incredibly drastic answers to one massive industrial constraint. Section 1, the 2026 Presidential Memorandum. Let's get right into it, because the specifics matter way more than the headlines here. The text lays out three explicit directives. First up, the Secretary of War has just 60 days to plan the replacement of EMALS, that's the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, with traditional steam catapults on carriers from CVN 81 onward. Second, it authorizes the Finland model for up to 3 classes of ships, which officially opens the door for foreign shipyards. And third, it directs the establishment of a 5th public naval shipyard, the first one in over 80 years. Okay, let's dive into this, because these are 3 seemingly disconnected orders, right? But they actually address a single underlying diagnosis: crippling delays and overly complex designs. Which brings us to Section 2, the catapult reliability problem. And this right here illustrates the absolute crux of the issue. We're looking at an uncomfortable, cavernous gap between what the Navy actually needs and what it's getting. The operational requirement for this electromagnetic catapult, it's 4,166 mean cycles between failures. But just look at the testing data. In 2021, over thousands of launches, it achieved just 272 cycles between failures. 272! In 2022, it improved to 614. That's better, for sure. But it is still just a fraction of the actual requirement. And this is the undisputed ground both sides argue from. Critics are quick to point out that a 100,000-ton aircraft carrier that can't reliably launch its planes, that's just a very, very expensive floating island. Now, to be fair, defenders of the electromagnetic system make a solid point too. They argue that reliability naturally improves over time, and that this modern system is way gentler on the airframes of the advanced unmanned aircraft we'll see in the future. The manufacturer, General Atomics, even told the Associated Press that reversing course now, quote, warrants careful reconsideration. And the right to point out that changing a massive launch system on a half-built ship, that introduces huge cost overruns, schedule delays, and massive integration risks. So both arguments are completely honest. It really just comes down to which risk the Navy would rather hold. Section 3, the foreign shipyard loophole. So this second directive, it collides directly with historic American law. Under Title 10 of the United States Code, Section 8679, there is a flat-out statutory prohibition. No vessel constructed for the armed forces may be built in a foreign shipyard, period. It's absolute. American ships are built in America. However, and this is a big however, the statute itself contains a very specific, narrowly defined doorway for emergencies. And here is the exact sequence the administration intends to use to bypass that prohibition. First, the president has to officially determine that it's in the national security interest of the United States to build abroad. Next, they have to transmit notice of that determination straight to Congress. Then, there's a strict 30-day waiting period before any contract can actually be signed. It's a highly orchestrated legal maneuver, completely designed to bring in foreign shipbuilders to bridge this massive gap. Now, the administration plans to manage these foreign builders using what they're calling the Finland model. Basically, if a foreign supplier wants to build for the U.S. Navy, they have to play by a really strict set of rules. First, they must build or heavily invest in a U.S. shipyard. After those initial ships are built in their home country, all subsequent ships absolutely have to be built on U.S. soil. On top of that, they must hire and train an American workforce, and, this is key, they have to license their proprietary shipbuilding techniques to the U.S. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the strategic sequencing here. You see, the first 2 foreign-built ships buy us time, while the rest of the agreement effectively buys an entire modernized industry. Let's move to Section 4, the 200-to-1 gap. This is where things get really serious. According to a 2023 assessment by the Office of Naval Intelligence, Chinese commercial and naval shipyard capacity sits at roughly 23.2 million tons. The United States capacity? It's under 100,000 tons. Let that sink in. That is a staggering ratio of more than 200 to 1. To put that into perspective, you simply cannot outbuild a 200 to 1 gap by just ordering more hulls. It's impossible. You have to build the capacity itself, or, well, rent someone else's. And we're actually already seeing this begin commercially. Just look at the South Korean group Hanwha acquiring the Philly shipyard, aiming to boost their annual output from less than 2 vessels a year to as many as 20. We are renting foreign capacity because, frankly, we have no other choice.
Section 5. The Maintenance Backlog Crisis. Let's bring this abstract capacity problem down to the immediate crisis facing the fleet currently in the water.
Right now, the United States maintains 4 public naval shipyards. And guys, they are completely full. A July 2026 Government Accountability Office report found that at least 37% of the Navy's fast attack submarine fleet is completely paralyzed. They're non-operational, just sitting there waiting on or undergoing maintenance. That's over a third of the U.S. fast attack submarine fleet delivering 0 operational capability, simply because there is literally nowhere to fix them. And the financial drain of this backlog, it's absolutely immense. Between keeping idle submarines, their crews, and support teams just waiting around, billions of dollars are just being burnt. In one specific instance, the Navy spent around $1.6 billion on a massive repair effort for the attack submarine USS Boise. $1.6 billion, only to ultimately slate the boat for inactivation anyway. We're spending billions just waiting in line. When you hold that backlog against our current build rates, the math is, well, it's terrifying. Right now, we build about 1.1 to 1.2 Virginia-class attack submarines a year. But to actually meet the needs of our own Navy, plus supply our AUKUS allies like Australia, officials state we need a build rate of 2.33 submarines per year. We are nowhere close to that. This massive, glaring gap is the exact reason the memorandum demands the establishment of a 5th public naval shipyard. It's not just about planning for the future of the fleet, it is desperately needed right now just to save its present.
Section 6. Trading Ambition for Reality. So what does this all mean?
It means the administration is making a very explicit choice here. They're choosing to trade the best theoretical system for a deliverable one. Think about it. Steam catapults are worse on paper than electromagnetic ones by almost every metric, but they are a known entity. They work. And sure, a warship finished in a Korean, Japanese, or Finnish yard completely breaks the sovereign ideal of domestic exclusivity, but it actually floats sooner. In both of these cases, the United States is explicitly choosing to sacrifice its cutting-edge technological ambition and its industrial self-sufficiency to simply buy time and get deliverable ships in the water. So, as we navigate the fallout of this massive memorandum over the next year, here are 4 concrete things you need to watch for. Number 1, does the 60-day plan to revert to steam catapults actually survive contact with engineering reality, especially considering the keel for CVN-81 is due to be laid this year? Number 2, watch Congress to see if that 30-day waiver notice is actually transmitted and approved. Number 3, look for true, massive foreign capital commitment at the scale the Finland model actually demands. And number 4, keep an eye on whether that 5th naval shipyard actually gets funded by Congress, because a dry dock is literally the only thing on this list you can't build with just a presidential signature. Ultimately, the United States fleet isn't short on advanced designs, and it certainly isn't short on ambition. It is critically short on places to actually build and fix those designs. Every single decision in this memorandum stems from that one unyielding constraint, which leaves us with one final, very sobering question to think about. What happens when the world's most powerful navy cannot build fast enough to replace itself?